So you believe if a caste census is published, it will change the way India operates?
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is what is data-driven decision making, data-driven administration, data-driven social justice. It is not just a rhetoric; it's a reality today. These are the things that are never understood by the people of Telangana, and there are certain castes who never saw political representation. So in this state, so they were always their votes were always taken for granted. Again, vote bank politics. So you belong to a particular backward caste, so I offer you cows. You belong to a particular shepherd caste, so I offer you sheep. Then you belong to a particular caste, and I offer you, some industry or some chapel making industry. But never I allowed you to sit in the house of people or assemblies or councils or other things. The prime minister of this country says that the people are trying to divide the nation on the basis of caste, but caste is a reality. Calling us as vote cutters or the B teams is the casteist way of looking at things, and then very narrow way of looking at things, and very reckless way of stereotyping political parties. Whether the Congress or BRS, both are the two sides of same coin. So here also there are feudal lords, and there also feudal lords. They want to sit on the seat perpetually, and then that's why they are throwing socks on people.
You have very strong opinions against the BJP. What if the Bahujan Samaj Party at the national level decides to align with the BJP? Then what happens to RS Praveen Kumar MP?
I don't think that would ever come. I don't think I will find this. I am very particular about that. So I joined BSP with the hope that I want to preserve the ideology of our founding fathers and mothers. So that is very transformational, and which is diametrically opposite to the ideology that is being propagated by BJP and its allies, RSS, Rajendran, and many other organizations.
Hello and welcome to No Filter with Dhanya Rajendran. We are in Telangana and joining us is a very important leader, Mr. RS Praveen Kumar of the BSP. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, Dhanya, for coming to BSP.
August 2021, from an IPS officer, you became a politician. 2 years now. How does it feel foraying into politics?
It has been exciting than ever. So I am really enjoying every moment of my political life. So policing was one way of life, and then politics is 360 degrees work, and then it really gives me a lot of satisfaction every day.
This election is going to be very different in Telangana because it's no longer just the BRS, the old TRS, and the Congress. We have the BJP, we have the BSP. How do you think this election is going to be different from 2018?
I think this election, people have decided to vote out BRS decisively. So when I say that, they also are looking for the entity or a party which can truly represent them. So that's why we are getting a lot of support from the people, and then they see BSP is a rising star, and then BSP is an uncompromising voice, particularly the youth, the students, the first-time voters, and the Raitu coolies. When I say Raitu coolies, agricultural laborers, then tenant farmers, then industrial laborers, and then whose children are studying in government schools. So all those people are looking at BSP for various reasons, and then I think we are at a very, very interesting phase in the history of Telangana ever since its birth in 2014.
So I'll come back to politics in a while, but I just want to dwell upon your life itself and your journey till now. Yeah. You were studying in Harvard. I mean, I know that you've spoken this many times, but I feel it still matters to the listeners, right? So you were studying in Harvard. At one point, you decide to come and join the IPS. Why was that?
I studied in Harvard while I was while I was working in IPS. So I got an offer for admission in a Mason program, which is very prestigious there. It's in Harvard Kennedy School. So I went there, and then I studied master's degree in public administration. Generally, those people who study masters in public administration, that too in Harvard University, where people Barack Obama and Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, all these people studied, and most of the global leaders come there to exchange ideas and then to share their experiences and to learn new things. And most of the people who study in Harvard, generally they settle in international organizations, but I wanted to serve my motherland, come what may. So I came back and then I continued my work in welfare sector. For a change, I joined welfare sector, particularly education to the most marginalized people. So that's what made me what I am today.
But why did you choose that? You were heading the residential schools for
Yes,
SC
for
ST
about 9
community
years.
children here. Why did you decide to do that?
I thought that is the I found my calling in working there, and then I have been yearning for so many years, because every time you see police stations, you go to crime branches, you go to the places bandobas, you see only poor people on the wrong side of the law, and you see in the police stations, you see in the jails, in the prisons, you see only poor people are getting poor people are getting locked up for various reasons, for petty reasons sometimes, and then they don't have access to bail, and then most of them, when they go to jails, and then again they get indoctrinated for various reasons, and then again they enter into crime life. So that's a vicious cycle. All this is happening because of lack of education. Then second is, most of the people, they do not know the what exactly is lying ahead of them. So because of lack of education, they have no means or no access to the opportunities which other dominant communities take it for granted because of their social capital. But these people unfortunately lack that social capital. So I wanted to invest in that social capital for the most marginalized people. So I found education to be the best way. And then I found residential education in particular to be the most efficient way of liberating poor from the clutches of poverty, and then oppression, and then, of course, a sense of inferiority.
What are some of the stories that you look back to from your time there? I mean, we ourselves have covered so many transformational
Yes.
stories, right, of students who came from marginalized backgrounds. Tell us a few that you
Yeah,
can think of.
thanks for asking this question. I'm really excited to answer this question. A couple of days ago, a young girl by name Agasara Nandini. So she won a bronze medal in Asian Games in heptathlon, and I'm very happy to share with you. She was our student. I recruited her. I started an athletic academy with the help of a Dronacharya awardee, Mr. Nagpuri Ramesh, and there is a Gopichand Foundation here. So with their guidance, we started the academy, and then I started. I'm very happy to share with you. I started 80 sports academies, 40 for girls and then 40 for boys from the most impoverished communities, irrespective of their caste and creed. So we brought them in, and then we gave them the best possible support. And then today we have a girl whose father is a washerman who presses clothes in the streets for 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 100 rupees, so on and so forth. And mother sells tea in the mohallas. So that girl now today, her dreams are realized because of the residential education and the continuous support. And of course, there is a great story, a world, record, holder Malawat Puna, who happens to be the youngest ever female to have scaled Mount Everest, and 13 years age. She's the youngest girl. So she's again from a very, very poor background. And then today our schools are, they're making waves because every school is producing hundreds and hundreds of doctors every year. So, and some of them have become pilots, some of them are being trained as pilots, some of them being trained as naval captains, some of them are fighter jet pilots. So I'm very happy, and all of them are from very, very impoverished backgrounds. And I created Sainik schools, I created law colleges, and I created Sainik schools for women, which is very rare.
But there are also engineers, doctors.
Yes, and thousands of people have joined NITs and IITs. And these things were never heard of. People went to Ajim Premji University, people went to Harvard University, people went to different Western universities, people went to London University, SOAS, School of Asian and Oriental Studies, and then people went to Singapore universities, and which were never heard of before me. So I have revolutionized all these institutions. Particularly, I have changed the way how these children look at themselves. So if you just treat them as Dalits, they continue to live with a sense of inferiority. When you type in Google images Dalit in India, then you see all the images of pain, poverty, subjugation, oppression, and sadness, frustration, and fighting for rights, and then playing besides the heaps of garbage. So these are the things you find. But today we change the identity from Dalits to Swero. Swero meaning state welfare, and then aero synonymous with air, sky, flying, so on and so forth. So today all our students proudly call themselves as Sweros, and then I'm very happy to share with you. this Vero word entered the dictionary, and then thanks to News Minute, this has carried that story.
I know. When you were running these schools, I have a few more questions about that.
Yes.
Did you think that people from other castes, especially from oppressor castes, they do not understand that there are boundaries to ambitions, to aspirations? That there are certain people who can have an aspiration, but still, because of their social location, there are certain boundaries, and others don't realize it.
Others don't realize because they think for them it is granted, and then their parents don't make any conscious effort to tell their kids that you are very lucky to be born into a particular community or particular, the social strata, socio-economic strata particularly. But these children, they never come across the poorest of the poor. So India is divided into two gated communities. One gated community is the have-nots, and other gated communities haves. So haves are becoming richer and richer and richer. So Andani, Abani, then all these guys belong to that haves, and then their percentage is growing day by day. And then have-nots, so they are perpetually beneficiaries of government schools, government schemes, nothing more than that. And then very rarely you find the stories of have-nots, breaking the barriers and then going into haves. This thing. So I think in the upper, the strata that you are talking about. So I don't think they realize that they are in a very very lucky.
What do you have to tell those people who say, no, there is no caste in India? Where is caste? We only operate on merit. We should be operating on merit.
I think they are either ignorant or deliberately trying to push it under the carpet. So, or they are so selfish that they want to grab everything for themselves. So, otherwise, if somebody doesn't say caste is not there, then they have to, they're trying to hatch a conspiracy to grab everything that is there under the sun for themselves. So that has been happening. So caste is a reality. You see Bihar caste census, which is just out.
I was just going to ask you, what do you think about the caste census and how
it
important
is a reality. The so-called upper caste, according to the Manu Dharma, so or Varnashram system. So the Varna system, sorry. So the upper caste, they have been ruling Bihar, or they have been ruling many states for that matter, ignoring the fact that there are, there are n number of backward communities in the states, and then their percentage is more than 50, but they were never given opportunity. And then only after Mandal, you found all these things. Even after Mandal came into force, thanks to the fight of Kanshiram ji, Sharad Yadav ji, Mayawati ji. So all these people, they fought for this, and then even after that, today you see all central universities. Central universities, only 10% of the professors are from OBC category, wherein their percentage is 63 in Bihar. And then see what is their percentage in central universities, what is their percentage in IIMs, what is their percentage in judiciary, higher judiciary. Even today, 79% of higher judiciary is from so-called upper caste. So I think there is a very clear-cut conspiracy. And then Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of this country, says that the people are trying to divide the nation on the basis of caste, but caste is a reality. Caste representation for particular caste in a particular domain of the life, domain of administration is very much relevant.
So you believe if a caste census is published, it will change the way India operates?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is what is data-driven decision making, data-driven administration, data-driven social justice. It is not just a rhetoric; it's a reality today. So earlier people used to call it as a rhetoric. So courts used to say, "Give me the data." Then many people whom you have just mentioned. So where is the caste? Now caste is a reality. Backward classes, extremely backward classes, then Dalits, and then most backward Dalits. So you have so many socio-economic strata, and then all that is coming out in open today. So and then that will help the rulers, policy makers, not just for political representation, for education, then for economic empowerment, for social empowerment and political empowerment as well. So I think this is a very very landmark event in the country.
Coming back to Telangana and your politics, you did the Bahujan
Rajyadhikara Yatra.
You did the Bahujan Rajyadhikara Yatra.
Yes.
It went on for almost a year. You have been speaking about a Bahujan consolidation, about bringing the oppressed caste together. How does that work in your mind? How do you think that panning out in Telangana?
I think that's a very good question indeed. So most of the castes, they are not aware of what is happening to them, what has happened to them for the last 75 years. most of the castes, they don't realize that the money, the budgets, the pennies that they pay in the form of taxes should have come to their development, but that never happened. So 75 years, even today, you have 35 lakh people in Telangana still homeless, and you have 30,000 schools, which 8,000 schools are single teacher schools, and assessment rates of Telangana are lowest, top, there's a second rank from the lowest, that is 32nd rank in the country, and you have unemployment rate is more than 20%. This is something very, very frustrating, and these are the things that are never understood by the people of Telangana, and there are certain castes who never saw political representation so in this state. So they were always, their votes were always taken for granted. Again, vote bank politics. So you belong to a particular backward caste, so I offer you cows. You belong to a particular shepherd caste, so I offer you sheep. Then you belong to a particular caste, then I offer you, some industry or some chapel making industry. But never I allowed you to sit in the house of people or assemblies or councils or other things. So most of the words and the deeds of the politicians have been tokenistic, but never transformational. So Bahujan Samaj Party has been able to tell this truth to people and then help people to rally behind the Bahujan slogan.
That does sound aspirational,
Yes.
but on the ground, is it really possible to bring these oppressed communities together? BC communities, MBCs, Dalits together?
It is possible. It's a long way. It's a long way because Bahujan politics again, they're the politics, which have no media support. They are the politics that's a social justice movement has no money power behind them. So because they were never given opportunity to make money and then save money legally, so they have always been made dependent on government schemes, and the governments were always in the hands of upper caste. So same thing plays out in a big way in the village as well. So village, a dominant community, 3 or 4 households in the dominant community, they rule the entire village, and then they have a tight hold, bare grip on the votes of the village, and then whomever they say, the village people will vote. So Bahujan Samaj Party is trying to change the narrative, so trying to liberate people from the clutches of that eternal dependence. So it takes a lot of time. It's not going to happen. So first, our hope is the educated generation in all those communities. First they come, and then first most marginalized people consolidate, and then the people who are on the fringes consolidate, and slowly backward class also consolidate.
But on the ground level, the same village that you were speaking about, there is tension between the
BCs
Dalits and the BCs, and even amongst the Dalits, right? The community is quite split even in Telangana.
Yes.
So there are different challenges here. So do you think
Yeah.
that consolidation is?
That's a very good question. But when there is a larger goal, when the purpose is larger, so these petty disputes, the internal friction, that becomes secondary. So that's what I'm able to see. So when we have a towering leader, when we have a greater cause, when we have a greater dream, which is bigger than all those petty things that are happening in the villages, I think most of the castes rally around. After all, most of the educated youth, whether boys or girls, men or women, and their parents, they want a better life. They want to send their children to a better life. They are not having a very narrow vision. We assume that they have a very narrow vision. The village is very conservative and all. No, most of the villages, thanks to technology, thanks to education, making waves. So I think they have a very broader vision. They are very aspirational. So those aspirational people are, kind of pushing all those frictions under the carpet, and then trying to rally behind each other, or trying to come together and to achieve a larger goal. So the success of Bahujan movement depends on chiseling out a larger vision, and then showcasing that vision, and then selling that vision to most marginalized communities. That is where the success lies.
So the Congress is the first party to make a slew of announcements here. How do you look at that? They have brought the same Karnataka formula here, which is 2,000, I think 1,000 rupees for women, free travel,
2,500,
free travel
for women.
How do you look at those?
I feel sad, and then I feel sad that Congress is, after 75 years of independence, Congress is still wants to make people perpetually dependent on their, SOPs. So when will we get the liberation from SOPs? Like 500 rupees? Do you wait for 500 rupees? I don't wait for 500 rupees. So I don't want people to wait for those 500 rupees to fall in their accounts. So I want people to come to that stage where they decide where to buy their gas, where to buy their vegetables, and then how to buy, what kind of quality. That should be the purchasing power and then thinking power of the people. So, but Congress is not doing that. Are they giving contracts to the BCs? Are they giving contracts to the scheduled castes? Are they giving contracts to the scheduled tribes? Or the women? Or the poor among the minorities? No, they are not doing that. Where the prosperity is, they are not sending the people there.
You mean the BRS also?
BRS also same thing. Yes, very good question. See, for example, Kaleshwaram project, BRS showcases the eighth wonder of the world. The water is being lifted from 148 meters below sea level, and then it is pumped into different kind of lifting a river, they call. So 82,500 crores. They brought loan from Power Finance Corporation without taking the consent of people of Telangana, and then they gave contracts to only upper caste. Only rich among upper caste, not even upper caste, rich among upper caste. So what is playing out here? It is only a crony capitalism. Will the poor benefit out of that? So why didn't you make cooperative societies? Why didn't you distribute all this money to, why didn't you make people as contractors? You had 10 full years of tenure with you. Why didn't you make it? So what I'm trying to tell you, whether the Congress or BRS, both are the two sides of same coin. So here also there are feudal lords, and there also feudal lords. They want to sit on the seat perpetually, and then that's why they are throwing sops on people. I don't see any quality difference. Why is that Congress is not telling about land distribution? Because the leaders in Congress are the landlords. It's a Congress which ruled this state, in United Andhra Pradesh, for about 50 years. Why is that they have not implemented the land reforms? Why is that they have land holdings to the extent of 1,000 acres? So why is that they are not promising that? So they don't want to do it. So where there is prosperity, they don't want. Why is that they are not saying we will distribute the contracts according to the percentage of population? They don't mention that. So they want only to give soft.
But that's a promise that you are making.
That's a promise.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I was actually listening to an economist recently, and she was saying this is called a compensatory economy, where the economy is not developed enough. So you keep compensating people with something or the other, which is perhaps cash or something free. She was not using the word freebie, but it's a compensatory economy. You said that the BRS and the Congress are two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
Which side does the BJP come?
So BJP is trying to divide the nation. So BJP is trying to fool the nation with so many things which are not required as of today. So whether it is a uniform civil code, whether it is CAA or many other contentious issues BJP has been taking, and the indiscriminate use of UPA, or launching the rights of ED and then CBI on all those people who question their misdeeds. And then you have crony capitalism in its purest form today. So these things are BJP doing, and then people are not able to find out what is happening on the ground, and then gagging the media. So this is something which is India never heard of. So BJP is way ahead of these parties in suppressing the dissent and suppressing the voice of people.
You have very strong opinions against the BJP. What if the Bahujan Samaj Party at the national level decides to align with the BJP? Then what happens to RS Praveen Kumar and BSP?
I don't think that would ever come. So
you're positive that this?
I am very positive that BJP's ideology is to preserve Manuvad basically, Manusmriti, and then all those retrogressive ideologies. I consider them as retrogressive. This is my personal opinion. So, and then BJP, says something outside and then does something exactly opposite on the ground. And BJP is trying to change the entire constitution. It's against justice, liberty, and fraternity, equality, which are enshrined in the preamble of the constitution. And BJP, it doesn't respect that. And Bahujan Samaj Party, on the other hand, the foundations lie in the constitution. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Mahatma Jyotirao Phule, then Sant Narayan Guru, Manishri Kanshiram, all these people, they founded a very germane and a very inclusive ideology, which is very transformational, which addresses fundamental human needs of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. I don't think BJP and BSP would ever meet. They are
If it
BJP.
happens, you don't find a place in that.
I don't think I will find a place. I'm very particular about that. So I joined BSP with the hope that I want to preserve the ideology of our founding fathers and mothers. So that is very transformational, and which is diametrically opposite to the ideology that is being propagated by BJP and its allies, RSS, Bajrang Dal, and then many other organizations.
So one question I'm sure, I don't want to ask the same question, but I'm sure that something that you get asked a lot is, and even Asudin Owaisi gets asked this a lot, is that won't you just be a vote cutter? Basically, you split votes. How? I mean, I understand where that thought comes from, that if it is going to be a binary fight between the Congress and the BJP, at that time, if a party like the BSP or the AIMIM comes, then okay, you cut votes. But how do you tell people that Muslims, Dalits should have their own parties and they can fight? They may end up as vote splitters, but that cannot be the reason that they stay away from politics.
I think calling us as vote cutters or the B teams is the casteist way of looking at things, and then a very narrow way of looking at things, and a very reckless way of stereotyping political parties. If somebody says that BJP or MIM or some XYG parties, if they as vote cutters, I think those people who are calling us vote cutters, they want to keep the power unto themselves perpetually. So they think that they have a hegemony over, they have a right over the kind of divine right over the people of this country, and then only they are destined to rule this country and not others. So when these others, when they realize the injustice that has been meted out to them for centuries, and then when they start thinking independently and then trying to find their own ideologies and gather behind those ideologies and then challenge the hegemony of these so-called upper caste or so-called dynastic rulers, and then these people suddenly they unleash the argument that these people are cutting our votes. What team B or vote cutters? So what is that vote cutter? So whose votes are we cutting? It is our vote. We are 99%. That's why we launched a 99% campaign in Telangana. We are 99%. Scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, scheduled backward classes, and religious minorities, and then poor among upper caste. We are 99%. Today, for example, you take Velama community, from which KCR comes. So Velama community is not even 1%. For last 10 years, they have been ruling this state of Telangana. Whereas the backward classes, then scheduled tribes and scheduled castes, all these people, form about 85-90%. So, where is the representation of these people? Then out of 60, there should have been 60 MLAs from BCs, backward classes in this country, in this state. There are only 23 MLAs who have taken the remaining 37 upper castes. So I think cutting, if somebody calls us vote cutter and somebody calls us a B team, it's that somebody is not coming out of his casteist shell.
That's why I framed the question, how would you explain to those people? You have worked with KCR closely for many years. How do you look at that time and what is happening now? Because that time you're an insider, right? And now you're an outsider. How do you judge KCR's performance? KCR, when you talk to him, he talks very nicely. And then when you go to him, then he treats you nicely. Very rarely he calls you, by the way. So probably I might have met KCR as an officer who was working as social welfare and tribal welfare schools, probably for about 7-8 times in the tenure of 9 years. So there are so many officers who have not met KCR so far, and some of them have retired without meeting KCR. So as a human being, okay, he treats you very well. But my complaint is he has a different agenda for this, self-serving agenda for this state. And then probably now he has converted his party into BRS party, and he wants to rule the nation. So he wants to expand his party to other states as well. So my point is he has a secret agenda to make money, to stay prosperous forever, for next generations to prosper.
but he has no agenda to transform a generation or transform a state. So all he does is just advertisement, and then
But they can counter you saying that they brought Dalita Bandhu, Raita Bandhu, and
who
all
asked
those
for
schemes.
Dalita Bandhu? Who asked, was there any agitation for Dalita Bandhu? So did you base Dalita Bandhu on a scientific study? So did you conduct any socio-economic survey? Did you skill them before you gave them 10 lakhs? Today I give you 100 crores. What would you do suddenly? You don't know what to do. So did you train them? Do you have mentors? So did you evaluate the schemes that have been implemented for the last 20 years? There was no evaluation at all. One fine morning, Chief Minister decides that there shall be Dalita Bandhu. Why? Because he wanted to defeat one MLA who is contesting by-elections in Wazirabad. Somehow, all the voters have to be bribed because Dalit population was 50,000. He wanted to send 10 lakhs to each and every household. Ensure that that person is defeated by bribing voters.
So you're saying these policies are sort of bribes?
Absolutely. Dalit Bandhu, BC Bandhu, Minority Bandhu, they're all bribes, only bribes and the gifts to TRS party workers. Let him come out open and then tell the truth. I have the data. Does KCR have the data? You ask anybody in TRS or BRS. So come out with the data. Then see, go to villages and see who has benefited from these schemes. So it's only BRS cadre. It's clear. It's only BRS cadre which has been benefited, not others. So the poorest of poor have never got the money. Even if they got the money, it's only tokenist. Like terrorists do. You kill one and terrorize 1,000. You bribe one, you send 10 Dalita Bandhu schemes and scare 90 people. Keep them in perpetual uncertainty. Oh, I'm going to get Dalit Bandhu. So if I go to other party, so some of our BSP cadres, they have been denied Dalita Bandhu. What's our mistake? Are we not citizens of this country? So I'm just telling an example. So you are seeing the party affiliation, then giving Dalita Bandhu. Dalita Bandhu is one of schemes where there is no guideline. Let them publish the data of Dalita Bandhu beneficiaries in websites. Why is that they are not doing? Why is that the government is shying away from all the data that is belonging to people? So all these schemes are a glorious bribery of voters with the public money.
I'll go to my last section, but before that, there's something which I keep reading, and I feel that there is a contradiction in the politician, in the human that you are, but from the officer that you were also an encounter specialist. I find that a bit, I can't reconcile with these two images. How do you explain that?
The very first
I mean,
answer,
I would like to call it I don't like
that's
to
okay. You're free to ask any
Yes.
question. I'm not an encounter specialist. There is nothing like encounter at the very
extrajudicial killings.
No, even you don't even call that. So if I indulged in any extrajudicial killing, I would have been in jail.
That is not true. There are
No.
so many policemen who have done extrajudicial killings, and
Then
we
it is
don't.
not extrajudicial at all. So if somebody indulges in extrajudicial killing, then the judiciary it won't sit as a mute spectator. Then people are free to go to courts and then get a petition filed and then take us.
But look at the case of the rape of the dentist in Hyderabad, right? The men who were shot dead. There is a case now. The court has given enough inkling that the court believes that it could have been extrajudicial killing. They're never going to be punished. I definitely don't.
How
think
can you
so.
say that? It's still sub judice.
There are so many cases in the
It's
past.
still sub judice. Let the court take it to logical conclusion. So how can we say that? Maybe tomorrow court might say that there are n number of cases where extrajudicial killings have happened, and then the courts have punished those officers who transgress law. So
since you're out of
calling me as encounter specialist again. So I think it's very unscientific.
But when you're out of the service, when you look back at the things that you did now, for example, I worked in a television channel for 8 years. I can look back at that and feel guilty of stuff I did. So do you look back at yourself thinking maybe the state did use me as an officer?
A very good question. So I don't see like that. I serve the nation. I try to uphold the constitution to the best of my ability, and then I never indulged in anything extra legal. I never did it for my personal aggrandizement, and then I never worked for earning a name as you have just mentioned,
Encounter
specialist. So I didn't want to do that. I tried to uphold law. I tried to protect people. I tried to save the institutions of the state. In fact, most of the people do not know, I believed in more of mainstreaming of Maoist extremists rather than punishing them with so-called exchanges of fire. But that was never shown to people. That's why I say most of the people brand me. That is very easy to stereotype. Like you said, vote cutter. So, like Dalits.
No, I didn't say vote cutter. I would like to correct you there. Yes.
So, but there's not. Like thousands of people have surrendered to the state during my time because I wanted to save their lives. Because most of the people, they get so impressed at a very vulnerable age with the ideology, Maoist ideology or any ideology for that matter. So where justice is not available or justice is given to only rich people, and where there is no access to the public institutions, and where there are no basic respect to the human rights, and where there is no hope. So most of the people, they see hope in such kind of radical movements, and then I don't find wrong in that. When state is failure, then people look for some other hope. I don't see anything wrong in that. But it is for the state. It is the responsibility of the state. Like Justice Haftabalam has said in Supreme Court judgment, a republic cannot kill its sons. Republic must try its best to reform its sons and daughters. So that's what I try to do. So I try to do all my tenure. So I reformed thousands of youngsters who joined Maoist movement, and then I brought them. Most of them came with weapons, which is something unheard of in the country. So in 2002, 2003, 2004, a lot of them surrendered with their weapons and then leading very normal life. Thousands of militants came to mainstream and then they're leading normal life with their wives and children. And I feel very happy about that. But the media or the people who accuse me of these encounters, they never talk about this. So, and this is a sadness. Like people always brand me as encounter specialist and all, but that's not correct. If I were to be an encounter specialist, then I wouldn't have joined Bahujan Samaj Party.
My final question to you is:
Yes, please.
You made a switch in your career from a policeman to a
True.
politician. Would you recommend politics to young people as something that they should join, as aspire to be there, at least part-time career?
Very good question. But I would advise the youngsters to do something in their lives first, follow their passion. And if your politics is your passion, that's fine. But follow your heart first. Then find your calling, be it being a business or serving people or starting an NGO or joining a government job, and being a legal professional or any profession for that matter. Follow your heart. Then do what your heart says, at least for 5 to 10 years. Then understand the world in its entirety. Then join politics. I think politics need a little bit of maturity because politics requires a lot of patience. And if you are intolerant, if you are a youngster and then gushing with adrenaline and all, I think politics you
And
find
righteousness also? If
yes,
you're gushing with
righteousness.
righteousness, perhaps you may not be able to.
Yes, but there's nothing wrong in righteous. But you will have to face a lot of disappointments, and then you should be ready for a lot of accusations. And at a very young age, you don't feel comfortable, and you don't digest somebody accuses of a fraud, or somebody accuses of bigotry, or somebody accuses of many other negative things. I think one needs to have a rounded personality, and then that comes over a period of time. So at 21 years, I don't encourage anyone to jump into the fray and then start becoming an MLA and all. I think they have to see the life in its entirety, and life is really beautiful, and then life gives you a lot of opportunities to learn, and life gives you opportunities to invent, and then life also gives you opportunity to serve and then find your meaning. Then slowly, then you understand what you are missing. So probably then you realize that, okay, politics is something which is going to transform the destiny of a larger section of people. Then you go there, and then people would accept you. If you go as an youngster, your acceptability in the community is limited. That's what I have understood.
That was RS Praveen Kumar talking to us about politics. He has a vision of bringing oppressed castes together in Telangana, a peculiar politics that he's trying. Will that bear fruit? The elections will tell us. Thank you for joining us here at No Filter with Dhanya Rajendran.